This is your WWE Raw post show for Monday, November 8th. Tonight on the show, Big E versus Roman Reigns is official for Survivor Series. Liv Morgan earns herself a title shot, and Kevin Owens snaps. Real snapperoo.
Oh, he snapped all right.
What a snap.
Like a twig.
Kevin Owens went bananas at the end of Raw tonight. Good God.
Like Ken Shamrock.
Yeah.
That scream.
Yeah, it was, So, hey, everybody. Shout out to Lauren Cronish watching us, a regular viewer of the show. Thanks, everybody, for joining us here tonight on your Raw Recap. We are here every Monday night talking Monday Night Raw, like the video. Subscribe to the channel. Hit us up on Super Chat. Become a member. Be a member like Angelo, like Doug, like Patrick, like all my friends out there who are members of the Ringside Report Network, like Antoinette. Good friends all over the place. Derek John. We got Raw to talk about. Kevin Owens loses his mind at the end of the show, attacking Big E. Most of this show was about Kevin Owens and Big E. The story around Monday Night Raw tonight was Seth Rollins trying to ask everyone around Raw if they believed Kevin Owens really... what was it? So last week,
was he truly a babyface?
Is he a bad guy? Do you believe Kevin Owens?
Is he a snake?
Is he a snake? A lying snake? He said snake a lot. It's not great. A little confusing of what's going on. If you didn't watch the show last week, Raw last week was actually far better than it was this week. We came on very excited about Raw last week. The show was really good.
Oh, yeah. Had a lot to talk about.
A lot of good matches. You know, yeah, Damian Priest and T-Bar with a tremendous match last week. This week, they're not on the show.
Yeah, that is true.
You know, the show last week was much better than it was tonight. Raw was not great tonight. So last week we had a deal. I don't even know what that means. There's a comment I'm seeing on the screen about Dominic. I don't get it.
Last week. You know, we saw a lot of great matches.
Yeah, last week was
a lot of great matchups
really good
as well.
But so the Seth Rollins thing last week, it was a match between between Kevin Owens. No, Seth was it?
No,
Seth?
it was Kevin and
Big E, right?
Yeah, it was Kevin and Big E.
It was Kevin and Big E last week. Seth Rollins punches Big E. Kevin sees that, takes advantage, goes for a pinfall, doesn't get the win. Big E then rolls Kevin up, beats him. Kevin then apologizes to Big E profusely, saying he didn't know that Seth had done that, and he was just, going for a pin. He didn't know. Big E didn't accept his apology and hit him with the big ending, and that's how Raw ended last week. This week, we start off Raw with Kevin Owens and Big E, and again, Kevin Owens telling Big E, hey, I'm sorry, and I didn't know that Seth was there last week, and I didn't mean it, and da-da-da. And Big E's like, look, whatever, man, I don't care. So again, Kevin Owens, despite the fact that he did apologize for it last week, despite the fact that he took Big E's finisher last week, he's still here, apologetic, hat in hand, humbling himself before Big E, and Big E is not having any of it. And then we cut to the ring, and it's Seth Rollins cutting a big, long promo to start off Monday Night Raw. And that was really a big chunk of the opening segment of Raw. Seth Rollins talking, says he's going to be the next WWE champion because he won this contract in a ladder match a couple of weeks ago. So he's going to face Big E, and he's going to lead Raw to victory at Survivor Series because they made the Survivor Series teams, which we'll tell you about. Not great teams for Survivor Series, which is just 2 weeks away. Seth then talked about Kevin Owens and wondering if he's, a good guy, a prize fighter, or a lying snake. And Seth says, Kevin is a snake, and he turned on Sami Zayn, and he turned on the New Day, and he's a snake and a coward. And then Kevin Owens came out and chased Seth around the ring before eventually catching him, goes for the powerbomb on the apron, but Seth escapes and runs away. The main event would be Kevin Owens versus Seth Rollins, but not before we saw a bunch of Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins backstage promos talking to various people on the Raw roster. Kevin Owens goes up to Rey Mysterio, says, "Rey, I respect you and I care about your opinion so much. You gotta believe me. Do you believe that I didn't see Seth Rollins punch Big E last week?" And Rey's like, "Yeah,
I don't have time for this.
I'm about to go to the ring right now. I don't really care. Like, it's not. I got other things on my mind." And Kevin's like, "Come on, man. Do you believe me?" And Rey's like, "Yeah, sure. I believe him." And then I believe you. And then
now go away.
Yeah.
It's very strange. Just paints Owens as weak throughout all these promos. Not once does he seem assertive at all.
No, he doesn't seem strong in any type of way. He just seems like a coward on all sides, and Seth Rollins was right about him, right?
That's what it ultimately turned out to be. It's very strange.
Then we have Kevin Owens asking R-Truth if he believes him, and then Truth is like, "Yes, I believe you, but I also believe in Bigfoot, the Loch Ness Monster. I believe that the earth is flat, but also round in parts and places." So it turned into this comedic R-Truth thing, and Seth Rollins, he was talking to different people, asking Big E, saying, "Hey, Big E, I know you don't believe Kevin Owens. You know, Kevin Owens is a snake and a liar." And there was just a lot of that. Kevin Owens asking Truth, Seth Rollins asking Gable and Otis what they thought of Kevin Owens, like they cared. You know, like
that was a long backstage promo.
Yeah, it's just like, man, why are they spending so much time on this? Like, why is Seth Rollins talking to Chad Gable and Otis about Kevin Owens right now and whether they believe him or not about pinning Big E for a 2 count last week on Raw? Like, it's not even like he attacked Big E or he hit Big E, but it was accidentally, or even beat Big E. He didn't even beat Big E. He got a 2 count on Big E, and now this week was the trial of Kevin Owens for doing the 2 count on Big E last week when he had an advantage to maybe win, but then he didn't win immediately. He did the 2 count, tried it, failed immediately, got rolled up with a crucifix pin. 1, 2, 3, Big E beat him. Then Kevin apologized, and Big E still hit him with his finisher. Yet there's this big story tonight. Did Kevin Owens know that Seth had punched Big E? Who cares? And that was a main problem for the show tonight. Who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares? Who cares what Gable and Otis think about Kevin Owens? Who cares even if Kevin Owens saw it or not? If he did, good. You're supposed to go for the count. I mean, come on. You're a babyface, but also you're trying to win matches. It's not the most heelish thing to do to try and take advantage of an opportunistic situation. It's not a bad thing. It's not a heel move. It's like maybe a slightly heel move, but it's not like the worst thing you could do by accident.
Yeah, he didn't even kick him in the balls.
Didn't kick him in the ball. Didn't do anything. It wasn't like Seth ducked and Kevin punched Big E and then won a match, or Kevin punched Big E. Like, nothing. It was Seth punches Big E behind the ref's back. Kevin sees it and decides, well, I'm going to try and get a win here. 1, 2, Big E reverses, 1, 2, 3. And this is what we're supposed to give a shit about Kevin Owens doing tonight on the show. And Seth Rollins. And again, they just spent so much time on it. You have Owens and Big E backstage to start the show. Then you have Seth Rollins in the ring cutting a really long promo about this. Then you have Kevin Owens asking Rey Mysterio. Then you have Seth Rollins asking Gable and Otis. Then you have Kevin Owens asking R-Truth. Then you have Seth Rollins talking to Big E. Like, it just never ended.
Match.
And then, of course, you have the match, which is with Big E ringside. Before the match, Austin Theory came out and took a selfie with the commentary team, tried to take a selfie with Big E. Big E slapped his phone out of his hand. Austin Theory went to get his phone and then just kind of walked away. Didn't do anything. It was, I don't know. I guess he's like a 24/7 guy. He just shows up and, he's
it's just like, all right, get out of here, you millennial.
And then he does. And then he's just shoot away. And then he just disappears because useless. They're already bringing up a guy that they're burying because, hey, that's what they do. They bring people up from NXT to bury them and then eventually fire them. Seth Rollins did another promo before the match. Like, it wasn't done. Seth, before the match, after Austin Theory leaves, Seth now is in the ring. The match is supposed to start, but instead he grabs a microphone and starts telling Big E that, Kevin Owens is a
snake.
Is a liar and a snake. Yeah. Similar to his opening promo 3 hours ago that we now have to sit through again, despite the fact that we saw, replay after replay of, like, you just saw this and you just saw this. They literally had a match at one point.
The Reggie match.
The Reggie match that they just replayed after it happened. Pretty much in its entirety. It was ridiculous. So Seth cuts an in-ring promo, and he's like, oh, Kevin Owens isn't the only liar. I'm a liar too, Big E. And me and Kevin Owens have been planning this for weeks now to attack you and to get a 2 count and almost beat you. Like, what?
Yeah.
It was so stupid. And then Seth is like, well, I'm a man of integrity, and I'm coming clean on my lie, unlike Kevin Owens, who's a lying snake. And then Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens have this match that's pretty long. Like, it was a lengthy match, and it was okay. It was match of the night. They were doing their best. They hit some moves. It was fine. It was not my favorite Seth Rollins-Kevin Owens match, but it was what it was. And on a night like tonight, where Raw was pretty weak, it's disappointing, because it was such a good show last week. This week, not so much. And I knew it was going to be bad tonight. You texted me earlier today, and you said, hey, we're going to watch Raw tonight? I was like, yeah, but there's no way it's as good as last week.
No.
There's no chance. I was like, man, it was so good last week.
No chance in hell.
It was so good last week. Like, I was preparing myself for a shitty Raw. Because I knew, like, man, it was so good last week. There's no way they're going to come anywhere close to matching that. And, there was a part of me that hoped. There was like 3% of me that was like, oh, maybe, maybe they figured it out. Wrong. Pathetic. Yeah, it was awful.
Hit a brick wall. Yeah, it was a complete 180 from
last week. It was such a boring episode
Every
of Raw.
segment was just weird. The promos just didn't go anywhere. Couldn't get a clear picture of who was the babyface or who was the heel, if at all. And yeah, and this took up possibly an hour of the show, or like 45 minutes at least.
Most of the show was about Big E and Seth and Kevin Owens and whether you believe Kevin or not.
And it ended in a count out.
So Seth Rollins and Kevin have a pretty good match, and then they wind up outside the ring. They crash through one of those chairs, the commentary chairs. Big E gets out of the way. They crash through a chair. And then Seth runs back into the ring to beat the count, and Kevin is kind of blocked by Big E. Big E's got his back turned to him, so it doesn't appear as though Big E's doing it on purpose, although maybe he was. But he's got his back turned to him, and Kevin is trying to get past Big E to get back in the ring and has to kind of push him and doesn't make the 10 count, so he loses by count out, I guess because Big E was in his way at that point. So Seth wins, he walks away, and then Kevin gets mad and attacks Big E, attacks him quite a bit. It was a long, drawn-out attack. Referees came out to stop them. Hurricane was even there to stop them, dressed in a suit, but I know who he is.
That's right. He was
it's
in
Gregory
his alter
Helms.
ego.
It was Gregory Helms, but I know who he really was. He's the Hurricane.
Stand back.
That's right. So he was there, and they had to stop Kevin Owens, and then Kevin was just, like, screaming, like, ah! Ah! And that's how the show ended. And,
Not good.
No. He's supposed to snap. He's supposed to go crazy. So what do you do when you go crazy? You just scream. Just scream, groans. Ah! It was not good.
And when the premise is so weak...
Yeah.
That, like, this snapping is just so, like, unearned and, like...
over the top.
Yeah,
ridiculous.
it just makes it worse.
Big E, you're such a dick.
Believe me!
No one believes me!
I'm sorry!
No one believes that I'm not a total dick and won't turn on you on a dime. So I'm going to turn on you on a dime.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks I'm going to turn my back on you, so I'm going to turn my back on you. Fuck you for thinking that.
I know I have a long history of power bombing people into the apron, But please disregard that as I power Bobby into the apron.
And again, it just makes Seth look correct.
Yeah.
Big E was kind of like, I'm not sure. Seth is like, he's a snake. He meant to do it. He's a jerk. Don't believe Kevin Owens. So now Kevin Owens is in this spot where the top heel on the brand, he's also kind of feuding with, right? Like, Kevin is not the top heel on Raw. That's Seth. And now Kevin is kind of like a second-tier heel to Seth, who's already who just beat him and has dismissed him as a liar and a snake.
And how this works into the future, I don't know, but I don't think he'll be in the title picture. Kevin, I don't think this is a way for him to get the title picture. If anything, he'll be like Seth's goon.
I don't know. I don't see this leading to Kevin Owens just being like, "Oh, Seth, you know what? I am a snake, but I'm gonna prove that I could be a good friend, so I'll be a good friend to you."
We'll be snakes together.
Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins are going to be on the same Survivor Series team at Survivor Series, which I don't even think they mentioned tonight.
No, they did not mention that because I'm just learning this now.
Yeah. Like, what? Like, Seth and Kevin are on the same team at Survivor Series. By the way, they have one more episode of Raw to build this thing. Okay? Seth just ran down Kevin Owens the whole time and telling Big E not to trust him and all that stuff. Meanwhile, Seth, Finn Balor, who is not on the show tonight, Kevin Owens, Rey Mysterio, and now Bobby Lashley are Team Raw. And they will face off against Team SmackDown, which will be Drew McIntyre, Jeff Hardy, King Woods, Sami Zayn, and Happy Corbin.
Not great.
No, it's not great. So, but they're not building this at all. Survivor Series has not been built in any type of way, and especially the Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens stuff did not really go towards building that Survivor Series match. Seth Rollins still has a Raw or a WWE title shot, right, at some point. I have no idea when that match is going to take place. I guess maybe on Raw at some point.
Yeah.
It's not at Survivor Series because Big E is going to wrestle Roman Reigns at Survivor Series. They made that official tonight. They showed a graphic on Raw tonight, Big E versus Roman, champion versus champion at Survivor Series. So you would also guess that Becky Lynch versus Charlotte Flair is official for Survivor Series, although they haven't, I don't think they've said that yet, unless I missed it somewhere. They're announcing matches on Instagram now, so who knows?
I didn't hear a mention of Charlotte tonight.
No, but Charlotte's on SmackDown, so I don't know. But she wasn't on the show last week, so I don't know where Charlotte's at. Hopefully she'll be on SmackDown on Friday, and we can get her match settled and made official for Survivor Series. But I believe it'll be Charlotte versus Becky. It will be Big E versus Roman.
Do you think, though, with Kevin in this, they'll just figure out a way to draw this out to that New Year's Day pay-per-view?
They might.
Feels like it.
Like a triple threat, maybe?
Maybe, yeah. Maybe they'll have some kind of championship match on Raw. Kevin interferes. And then, Sonya Deville makes some kind of, false count anywhere triple threat for the day one pay-per-view. Or steel cage match or whatever.
Yeah. I don't know. I think Seth and Big E is possible for Raw on Monday for the WWE title. I think
Monday, the go-home show.
Yeah.
Could be if they want to do some kind of big announcement thing, some kind of ratings pop.
Well, it's just good for, Survivor Series kind of hype, I guess. You could tease the title change and make people believe it and tease Seth versus Roman.
Could even have the Usos interfering or something on behalf of Roman or something like that.
I mean, you could do...
you need that for Survivor Series and the whole brand supremacy thing. You need the whole crossover. I mean, I understand SmackDown roster's overseas right now, but next week you got to have some, interferences and contract signs between brands,
You would think. You would think there'd be some sort of crossover because right now there's no feuds between Raw and SmackDown, even though they're going to be doing two of these Survivor Series brand versus brand matches and the two of those champion versus champion matches as well.
Becky and Charlotte, there's some heat, but they also seem like they don't want to fully take advantage of that heat.
No, I think they're scared of it. I think they're trying to lean away from it so they avoid real bad situations.
I know, it's interesting.
Yeah.
Usually they want to lean
sucks.
into this. They want to take advantage. They want to make this front and center.
They got to lean into it. They got to go Becky and Charlotte. Put them face to face. Do a promo. Let's see it. This is what people want to see. This will drive ratings. This will be interesting.
You saw CM Punk and Eddie Kingston?
Yeah, it was great.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
I want to see the same thing with Charlotte and Becky.
But the WWE, I think, is scared to do it because they don't trust either Charlotte, Becky, or both to be professional enough to handle it. Because you saw what happened when they had that in-ring segment, the title change. Charlotte apparently had to get escorted out of the building afterwards. Like, there was a lot of turmoil.
Does that work?
After that segment? I don't know. But there's just, there was a lot of shit that happened the last time Charlotte and Becky were in a ring together, and it feels like that the WWE doesn't want to go back to that because they're afraid. Because if they weren't afraid, they're either afraid or stupid. Because to me, and I think to most people that are watching the WWE right now, that Charlotte-Becky thing was a hot angle. You could do stuff there. You could, people are excited right now about Charlotte. She's got a lot of buzz. Becky's got a lot of buzz, and that match is big. And the fact that the WWE hasn't leaned into it shows you either they're stupid, they don't realize that how hot it is, or B, they're just afraid and they don't want to cause any real life drama. So it's it's disappointing that we haven't seen it, but I think that we're going to see some of it at least leading into Survivor Series, and to me that's what I'm looking forward to the most. I really want to see what Charlotte's going to say on SmackDown on Friday night. I hope she's on the show. She wasn't on the show last Friday, so I hope we get to see the Queen once again. I like seeing Becky Lynch tonight looking great with that cool shiny top she was wearing and the big mirror shades and the cool hair.
Like the future.
Becky looks like the future. She looks fantastic. I think she's so cool. I love her new look. I love Big Time Bex.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Big Time Bex. Shout out to Angelo. Shout out to Wobbly Op.
And I don't know,
watching
it's
us on Twitch. Thank you for watching us on Twitch.
That WWE would be scared of all the wrestlers and all the history who have had a personal beef with each other. They're scared that Charlotte and Becky are the ones who are just gonna say fuck the script and just start throwing hands in the middle of the ring and calling each other horrible names.
I don't know. I don't know what they're. I mean, Charlotte and Nia kind of got real at some point, so maybe they're afraid of that. I'm not really sure what they're afraid of. I don't really know. I wonder. I don't think they're afraid of putting them in a match. I think they're afraid of putting them in a ring with live microphones because of what they might say to each other.
You really think they'd be that unprofessional?
I mean, did you see apparently that contract signing went really bad,
I know, but there was
if
no colorful language used.
No. I don't know. I don't know what they might do, but I would like to see it. That's the point.
Yeah,
you want to see it. I don't care. It's supposed to be controversial. It's supposed to be spicy. It's pro wrestling. It's live pro wrestling. What we enjoy is when it gets real, when it gets interesting. Then you have a worked match that feels real and you make money and people watch. That's what pro wrestling is all about. Becky Lynch was on commentary for a fatal 5-way, which was ridiculous. Now, I don't really understand the Survivor Series concept right now. There's a lot of confusion, I think, from the WWE. First of all, Adam Pearce was in the ring earlier in the night, right? Let's talk about Survivor Series for a second and the concept of Raw versus SmackDown. Adam Pearce is in the ring. And he's talking about the history of Survivor Series, and he's got Rey Mysterio and Dominic in the ring with him, right? And he says, look, last year, Team Raw swept SmackDown 5-0, and we're looking to continue that streak for Team Raw this year. He's in charge of SmackDown too, though. When you have the same GM for both shows, why would they care which brand wins at Survivor Series? He's out here going, oh, Team Raw, clean sweep last week. He's going to be on SmackDown on Friday night. Him and Sonya Deville run both shows. What the hell is he talking about, Team Raw? You run SmackDown too. Did Brock Lesnar rattle your brain when he hit you with those F5s a couple weeks ago, Adam Pearce? What's going on? And then Pearce is like, oh, Dominic, you're the only member of Team Raw who isn't a former WWE champion, and I don't like that. So, Dominic, I don't think you should be on the team because Raw's got to have a strong team because I'm rooting for Raw?
Makes no sense.
Shouldn't the SmackDown guys be pissed? Shouldn't Baron Corbin be like, hey, man, what's going on?
What about me?
Sami Zayn should cry conspiracy here, right? Sami Zayn's always talking about conspiracy. There's a conspiracy.
Open.
Team Raw has the GM for both shows openly rooting for them, also stacking the deck with only former WWE champions. Meanwhile, Team SmackDown has two former WWE champions. The rest, nope. Team SmackDown's got Drew McIntyre and Jeff Hardy. They've won WWE championships. Xavier Woods, Sami Zayn, Happy Corbin, nope.
Not even close.
So clearly Adam Pearce is on Team Raw. Even though he's in charge of Team SmackDown too, he's cheering for Team Raw, which is ridiculous.
Why couldn't they, at the draft like a couple weeks ago, just be like, okay, Adam Pearce is in charge of Raw and Sonya's in charge of SmackDown because we don't film at the Thunderdome anymore. Like that's why they had these two GMs, because they're always on filming at the same shows at the same place. So just split them up and have, Sonya be the SmackDown lady.
It would be logical.
Because the whole point of the brand supremacy things is usually built on the personality of the GMs.
Mm-hmm.
Bischoff, Teddy Long, John Laurinaitis, Stephanie McMahon, Paul Heyman, Kurt Angle, all these people. It's always about, you want to see that person lose more than the team lose. You want to see Bischoff get his comeuppance, or you want Teddy Long to win.
Yeah.
But here it's just like, what's the point? Or like, what? So muddled and also just illogical.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Have two GMs. They have two people there. They got Sonya and Adam Pearce. Split them up. I feel like maybe Sonya's working for SmackDown at this point because she put all of the Team Raw women in a match against each other when they're supposed to be, building that brand cohesion and kind of being a team. There's none of that tonight because Sonya Deville's like, hey, we're going to put all of you women in a fatal five-way match, and the winner will get a shot at Becky Lynch. So then it was the Team Raw. So the Raw team for the women's side will be Bianca Belair, Rhea Ripley, Liv Morgan, Carmella, and Queen Zelina.
Or as I call her, Queen Zelina.
Bob Cote says, I didn't think about Adam Pearce being in charge of both Raw and SmackDown. Right? See, they don't mention it on the show, but, when you watch both shows and you kind of realize, wait a second, why is he so invested in Team Raw? It doesn't really make sense. He's also in charge of Team SmackDown. So the brands are competing against each other, but you know what? The people in charge are actually the same, which is kind of like a nice allegory for modern politics, I think. It's like there's this fake kind of blue versus red deal, but really the people pulling the strings are just the same people either side. It doesn't really matter.
Damn it.
Right? It's Vince McMahon either way.
It's my money, damn it.
You know what I mean, though?
I'm Big Pharma, damn it.
That is kind of the way things are, right? It's just kind of like, yeah, there's a blue side, there's a red side, there's a left and a right, but really when it comes to government, it's all the same, and it's all bullshit, and it's all the same people that are going to pull the strings no matter what. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what the WWE is trying to tell us.
Couple independents here and
It's
there.
actually very intelligent. It's actually very highbrow. It's a very high-concept political statement that the WWE is making, I think.
Wrestling is a great way to learn about politics,
and we're
really.
just too stupid to realize it. They're telling you, this is how it works, pal. The same people run both shows. We're going to tell you they compete, but it's bullshit. Just like life. I mean, maybe.
Just life sucks, and then you die.
Imagine they're like that smart, and they're like really thinking about it, and that's the theory. They're like, yeah, it's government, pal.
Yeah,
it's about the government.
If WWE was doing it, I mean, Retribution was like their Antifa storyline, and that's possible. Really handled well.
No, their idea of it is a little weird. But
they've tried political things. Doesn't always work.
No.
We the people.
Oh, Zeb Coulter was my favorite. That guy was the best. His promos were interesting.
I think he spoke out recently, said he felt uncomfortable.
And then I think
how far they made him go.
Remember when he was the babyface, I think, and Del Rio was the heel, and he was saying really bad things about Mexicans, but Del Rio was supposed to be the bad guy?
No, Del Rio was the babyface.
Was he, though?
With Swagger?
Was he the babyface?
No, Del Rio was the babyface.
Well, maybe not in all the arenas.
Yeah, but then Zeb Coulter, remember, and Del Rio teamed up to form Mex America.
Oh, yeah.
Good times.
So, Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville are backstage with Team Raw, Liv Morgan, Zelina, Bianca, Rhea, and Carmella. And then Doudrop and Nikki Ash and Dana Brooke are there, too. And they're like, hey, how come we don't get anything? And they're like, yeah, shut up, you know? Doudrop is really mad. She's like, how come I don't get a title match? Bianca Belair, she's always getting title matches, and she always loses. Like, how about Doudrop? And I'm like, yeah, Doudrop, you do win a lot of stuff. Like, maybe you do deserve a title match. And then it was Liv Morgan actually getting the win because Doudrop, sabotaging Bianca, pulled Bianca out of the ring when she hit the KOD on Zelina. Doudrop pulls Bianca out of the ring before she can get the pinfall. Of course, it's a fatal 5-way, so it's no DQ. So the ref allowed it. Doudrop attacks Bianca, which allowed Liv Morgan to roll up Carmella for the win. And it'll be Liv Morgan versus Becky Lynch at some point for the Raw Women's title. I'll assume it'll be on Raw on Monday night. I'd say probably next Monday night, Becky versus Liv for the title, with Becky definitely winning. Definitely.
And I don't like this because, I get, they built some heat between Doudrop and Bianca. But, when Doudrop was pointing out how Bianca gets shot after shot, Bianca kind of, shot her down in kind of a condescending way. It was well, I get to have them because I'm better than you, kind of. It was just well, why do, so when she gets, the rug pulled out from under her and legs pulled out, I'm kind of yeah, take that, Bianca.
Yeah.
Yeah, Doudrop,
she's a little arrogant, Bianca.
Yeah, Doudrop's, getting some for herself. She's getting, some attention. She's getting some spotlight, She's kind of showing a little more hunger.
Yeah, but she's stealing a victory away from Bianca, and that is a heelish thing to do, and I think it was a heel move, and they're trying to get Bianca over further as a babyface.
It doesn't work, because every one of her lines is just her going either, well, when I get cheated, it counts more, so meh.
Yeah.
I don't understand how everyone's supposed to go yeah! to someone who acts like that.
Yeah, it's hard to get behind Bianca Belair. It's just okay. She's very cocky, and she's good. She's impressive, but I think it'll work better with Doudrop. I think, if Doudrop is going to turn heel, because she's not super over as a babyface like Becky Lynch is, the crowd, I think if you put Bianca in a position of babyface against Doudrop, who's doing heelish things, you will get Bianca over stronger as a babyface. But against Becky Lynch, it just wasn't going to work because the people love Becky. No matter what you try to do with Becky, she's a babyface. And I think that she'll be a babyface at Survivor Series. That's a real interesting one. Unless it's going to be Liv Morgan against Charlotte at Survivor Series.
Oh, that'll be the quick title change. Oh, my God.
And they just avoid Becky versus Charlotte altogether to avoid any kind of problems. They just do Liv versus Charlotte.
And then Becky wins it back next pay-per-view?
But that would be punishing Becky. You don't get her booked on Survivor Series unless she replaces somebody on the Raw team, but...
You almost figure that, if they were going to do that, they should take the belt off Charlotte more than Becky.
Maybe they take...
Becky's got momentum. Charlotte doesn't have much momentum right now.
Maybe you wind up doing Liv Morgan versus Sasha Banks somehow at Survivor Series, and Charlotte and Becky both lose their belts before the pay-per-view.
Yeah, that's...
punish them both type of thing, and just say, yeah, well, Sasha Liv. We'll work from there.
I guess so. It's very brazen, but obvious. But
WWE does that.
They don't get embarrassed.
No.
To paraphrase someone, but yeah, it's very strange. And Doudrop and Bianca, it could be good matches, but I'm not sure that Doudrop will necessarily make great heel fodder. For Bianca to get babyface. I could see the audience kind of if they have a promo and Doudrop, outshines Bianca, I could see the crowd because Doudrop's not a bad wrestler, and she's she can be sympathetic.
Yeah, she's kind of an underdog. I mean,
fans know how bad she was treated during the Eva Marie storyline and how dumb the name Doudrop is, and like they kind of feel bad for being saddled with it.
Yeah.
So Bianca, if she goes in there and is all like, "I'm better than you," I can see the fans being like,
if she starts saying like people like me are better than people like you, it'll get that Eva Marie type heat and it'll backfire maybe.
Yeah.
Doudrop, I think, is not the most evil heel to get Bianca over as a babyface with. I'll give you that.
Carmella works.
I'll give you that. Carmella would work a lot better. But Carmella
is just,
it's just only so much you can do with Carmella.
Yeah.
Doudrop, you can have some matches,
She's a good worker.
So we'll see there, but I think it's going to be Doudrop and Bianca involved in something at some point, probably just a TV feud. The first match of the night had Omos, AJ Styles, Dolph Ziggler, and Robert Roode beating the Street Profits and RK Bro.
This was awful.
This was awful and weird. Randy Orton was mad at Riddle for going after Omos last week and told him, don't go after Omos because he's just going to beat you up, so stay away from Omos. Then during the match, Riddle tagged himself, accepted a tag from one of the Street Profits because he's like, I got to help these guys. They're getting beat up. Riddle accepts a tag, goes in, and gets beat up by Omos, takes a big choke bomb, and just lies there forever. And Randy's all mad at Riddle. First of all, he's mad at Riddle for accepting the tag to even go up against Omos, which is a strange thing for Randy to do. Like, let's not even mess with this guy. He's too scary. Like,
yeah, let's let him win.
Aren't they the Raw Tag Team Champions? Aren't they going to have to face Omos and AJ at some point? The fact that Randy is just trying to avoid Omos is weird. So there was some, beef between Randy and Riddle during that match. Riddle went in, and Riddle was wrong. Randy was right in telling Riddle not to mess with Omos because immediately he got choke bombed and then just kind of left there for dead. And then Dolph Ziggler took the tag away from Omos. Omos was in the ring after doing that to Riddle, and Ziggler tagged himself in when AJ Styles was about to tag himself in. And then Dolph Ziggler and AJ Styles kind of got into it a bit. And then Ziggler eventually kind of walked away from the argument with AJ and Omos and just pinned Riddle, who was down for like 10 minutes or something. Like, he was down for so long while all this was going on. It was like, oh, well, Riddle's going to kick out now after all this heel beef. But no, he just sold like death for Omos, and Ziggler just pinned him. It was really weird because after all that between Ziggler and Omos and AJ Styles, and they argued for, longer than they should have if they were going to go just pin a downed Riddle who's just down in the ring, but apparently not because Riddle stayed down for the 3 count. And that's how Omos, AJ, Dolph, and Robert Roode got the win tonight. And, Raw started off pretty weak. You had that long Seth Rollins promo, and then you have this long 8-man tag. It was long. Like a commercial break or 2 even.
Yeah,
it was
Like
long.
a 3-segment match.
And it was not that good. And no one cared.
Omos did not look good either.
No.
Just very slow, very sloppy. And Ziggler gets the win, and just who cares about the Dirty Dogs? They look, they got over tonight for some reason. They got a lot of over.
I don't care about them at all.
And the Street Profits just did nothing. It was not good. And Randy and Riddle are just not a good tag team. It's just this weird dynamic.
It's super weird.
Just why are they even, still like partners?
Why does Riddle accept all this like demeaning behavior? Like Randy's so condescending. Randy's such a dick to Riddle all the time. It's not even
and
like
he's proven right.
Yeah, and then he's right, and Riddle's like, "Oh, I guess I'm a loser." Like,
we're friends, right?
Riddle looks like an idiot the whole time, and Randy is just disgusted, embarrassed, and just mean to Riddle. And there's never a moment where it's like, "Oh, I like you, Riddle. We did well."
You make me laugh.
They happen very rarely. Like, most of the time, Randy's just like, I can't believe I'm still with this guy. Get it over with. Like,
why are they together in the first place?
It's not working. This was something that, at first was like, oh, this is cool. This is working. Like, Riddle's got some, he's got some momentum here. Let's do something. This will be good. And it turned out horribly. They're just the execution of it so bad. In theory, it was a great idea, and it started off well, and now it's just one of the worst things on Raw.
And Riddle is in a deep hole now. His character is in a deep hole. I don't know if he'll have. I mean, he might get out of it, but it's gonna be tough. He's got to whenever it blows up, he has to beat Randy. That's the one thing that has to happen, or else Riddle's fucked.
He might be because it's just he's made himself out to be such an idiot at this point. He's just so goofy. He was goofy before, but now he's goofy and weak.
Yeah. So many weak characters.
Yeah.
There's all these guys who are just
he takes that choke bomb from Omos and he's just it's over. And it was a long time he's sitting there on the mat. Doesn't make him look good at all.
It's weird.
One of the Street Profits couldn't have taken the fall in that match?
Yeah, Angelo Dawkins?
It's got to be Riddle. Riddle takes a lot of the falls. I feel like they're burying Riddle for some of the shit he said about Roman Reigns.
Yeah, I'm saying let's.
He seems to lose a lot of matches and look like a total idiot on TV, whereas a few months ago it seemed like, he was poised for greatness and shit was going to happen.
Yeah, we thought he could win Money in the Bank.
What changed?
He messed with the big dog.
I don't know, but I don't know if that's the reason why they're burying Riddle, but it feels like not an outright burial, but not a guy that they're going to do a lot of stuff with in the future.
Yeah, once this Randy program, this is a program to get Randy over.
Yeah, he'll lose to Randy at the end of it. Yeah. And then he'll just kind of go chase a 24/7 title. It's possible.
Yeah, he could be 24/7 champ, which
he could be released at this point. They have so many talented guys, and they're yeah, let's do something with them, and then they kind of give up on them because of some perceived, slight or disrespect or crossing the wrong person or whatever, and then they just let you go.
Mm-hmm. Find someone else.
Yeah. They got Braun Breaker now, pal.
Yeah, when Braun Breaker comes to the main roster, he'll be like, "Hey guys, whoa!"
I mean, yeah.
Cool.
When Braun Breaker comes to the main roster, he'll be strong for a couple of weeks, and then they'll put on some weird costume and change his name and bury him,
or just call him, Breaker.
Yeah, he'll just be
and he'll be breakdancing.
Yeah. Bobby Lashley beat Dominic Mysterio via Hurt Lock submission to take Dominic's place on Team Raw for Survivor Series. That was the second match of the night, so where things were going. Then you had Big E versus Chad Gable, which was not as good as you wanted it to be. Pretty quick match, too. Big E getting the win on Gable after the big ending, getting the pinfall there. Otis faced off with Big E after the match, so maybe we get Otis versus Big E on Raw next week, which could be good, but, it doesn't mean anything. Otis and Gable, talented team, talented guys. WWE seems determined to do nothing with them forever.
I was saying they should be Seth Rollins' goons. I think they do really well. Gable, is a bit of a talker, and he could kind of play that smarmy guy, and Otis is the big muscle. They'd work well week to week with Seth, because Seth by himself is so fucking boring.
Yeah. Didn't Seth have goons? Didn't he have Authors of Pain as his goons at one point?
Yeah, and technically J&J Security.
Yeah. Seth is better off with goons.
Yeah.
The Chad Gable Big E match was, okay. I liked when Gable did the German suplex on Big E. It's always impressive when he does that to gigantic dudes. I like Gable, but you know where this was going. This is just a match for Big E to look strong, and it's a match for the WWE champion to get a win on TV. And it wasn't much of a match, it wasn't a very long match. And at that point, I was kind of tuned out because the two matches that I'd seen before was the 8-man tag and Lashley versus Dominic Mysterio. Not great.
Yeah, and the Pierce promo, which we touched on before also, which was also long and boring.
An Adam Pearce promo, a Seth Rollins promo. The show up until this point was Seth Rollins promo, the 8-man tag, which lasted forever, Adam Pearce in-ring promo, Lashley and Dominic Mysterio, and then Big E versus Chad Gable. Like, god damn, man.
Although, maybe the highlight of Raw was a promo. It was Ray's promo in the trainer's room.
Oh, my God.
You want to get to that?
Yeah, Ray and Dominic are in
Let's have a laugh.
Ray and Dominic are in the trainer's room, and then they say, oh, Dominic's got a neck strain from the match with Bobby Lashley, because Bobby, could have beat him a couple times, but then he just kept assaulting Dominic because he's mean. And then Ray was stumbling through a promo. I don't know what was going on, but he got lost in his promo. He's like, Dominic, Bobby Lashley, if Adam Pearce wanted Bobby Lashley in match, why Dominic and did that? And so
or both of them.
Both of them, and then why did it Adam Pearce, Bobby Lashley, and I'm like, what the fuck?
That was it.
And that was it. I was like, okay, Ray. What? Ray got lost in that promo. He's like, if Adam, he said some words that were not words. He said, a couple of things. I was like, what the fuck? If Bobby, he sounded like the last appearances of, I don't know if you've ever seen, you probably haven't seen this, Bill Cosby on Letterman. Bill Cosby on Letterman, his final Letterman appearance, he goes on Letterman.
All the people.
That's what it sounded like to me. That's what it sounded like, because it was that confused. Yeah, that's what it sounded like. Because he's like, he goes,
it reminds me of Bill Cosby.
Yeah, but not in that way, but just in a confused way of just kind of stumbling through words. Because Bill Cosby's final appearance on Letterman, I don't know if it's on YouTube. I'm sure it is somewhere. It's so goddamn funny. He comes on and he goes to the band. He goes, just tell me when I'm done. Just play music when I'm done and I'll stop talking. So it's like, what? He comes out and he's just going to go and talk. And then when his time's up, he's like, play music, band. And then I'll just wrap up whatever the fuck I'm rambling about. It's no one does this. Just do a stand-up bit. It's like, yeah, I'm going to come up, I'm going to do my 5 minutes, and then I'll be out, and that's it. But he's like, just tell me where to stop talking and play the music. And then at one point, he's like, with Thanksgiving, you have the turkey sandwiches, and the turkey, and the and I was like, honestly, it was mumbling. It was jibber-jabber. It was nonsense. And that's what the Rey Mysterio promo sounded like to me tonight.
The Rey Mysterio should see a doctor.
Hey, where you tripping? Your Bobby Lashley, Adam Pearce, tuba. I was like, what?
He should see a neurologist.
He
has the brain of an 80-something-year-old man.
No, I think he just got a little lost in the promo and stumbled, and I don't know what happened there, but I wanted that promo to last forever. It was very short, but just the Rey Mysterio backstage in the trainer's room. Hey, Bobby Lashley, chuba chaba. And then it was Drake Maverick. I mean, shit just gets worse and worse. Drake Maverick versus Reginald for the 24/7 title in the ring. Not even backstage running around, just in the ring. Drake Maverick beat Reginald to become the 24/7 champion, and then Tozawa immediately shows up, rolls up Maverick to win the belt. And then Corey Graves jumps off commentary. He wins the belt, rolls up Tozawa. And then Byron Saxton gets off commentary, rolls up Corey Graves to win the belt. Drake Maverick then rolls up Byron Saxton, which, how shitty are these guys at wrestling that, you don't even have to wrestle them or hurt them or anything. You roll them up, 1, 2, 3, they're all done. Everybody in this, they're all jobbers because they all keep their shoulders on the mat for as long as you want. You do a schoolboy roll-up, it's over. Maverick rolled up Saxton, and then Reggie, of course, rolls up Maverick to regain the title, and it's all kind of the same in the end. Reginald is still your 24/7 champion, and that wasn't just a run-through during a match. That wasn't a short backstage segment. That was actually an in-ring bit. Not only that, they replayed it over. As soon as it was over, they were like, here's all the falls that you just saw. So then they're like, here's this person. They just replayed the whole thing. They did the segment, and then they recut it in replays, and then they did it again. Back to back. Horrible. Then you had the Fatal 5-Way, which was not great. And then you had Seth Rollins versus Kevin Owens, which ended by countout, which was not great. Probably the match of the night. But compared to last week's Raw, this was horrible.
Yeah, total 180.
Horrible. What happened?
Jet lag.
Yeah, they were in the UK. Maybe they're tired.
But still.
I mean, the writing. What about the writing? What about building for Survivor Series? What about making sense? I mean, all the builds for Survivor Series were ridiculous. The Seth Rollins, who's starting a feud with Kevin Owens, and now Kevin Owens is turning heel, and they're on the same team at Survivor Series, but they didn't mention that at all. All 5 Survivor Series women wrestling each other in a match. You know, nobody on Raw seems to care about them getting along for Survivor Series. They're like, fuck it, let's have them wrestle each other for a title shot. Let's have them fucking rip their heads off, before they have their team match in a couple of weeks. And then Adam Pearce openly rooting for Team Raw to win and enhancing Team Raw while also being the general manager for SmackDown. Just the whole build for Survivor Series tonight was either non-existent or lacking in logic. And then the rest of the show was, do you believe Kevin Owens?
Or is he a snake?
What a snake. He tried to get a 2 count last week. Tried to get a cheap win, and it didn't work, and he lost. What a snake. Kevin Owens loses again this week. I don't think he's won in months.
Yeah. And if he's here for 3 more months or 3 years.
Is this WWE trying to get Kevin Owens kind of back in the fold and like, look, pal, you're going to be in the main event of Raw every week, and let's work something out.
Terrible job of doing it.
Yeah. Is this like trying to make Kevin Owens want to re-sign with WWE?
It just makes me want to see him in AEW even more.
Yeah. I don't love what they're doing with Kevin Owens currently. And the snapping at the end of the show, like just scream, just like beat up Big E and then like scream and yell. Yeah, not great.
Not great.
And that's it. That was Raw. Thanks everybody for watching. Appreciate you. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Leave a comment. Shout out to Wobbly Op. Shout out to Angelo. Shout out to AJ. Shout out to Bob Cote. Shout out to Lauren Cronish. Everybody watching us live here tonight on the Ringside Report Network. I will be back on Wednesday night after Dynamite to recap Dynamite with Johnny North.
Exciting.
That'll be fun. I think it's the last Dynamite before Full Gear. Full Gear's on Saturday. Oh, shit.
Oh, shit. That'll be a go-home show.
You coming for Full Gear?
Oh, you know it.
Hell yeah. We'll be in full force after Full Gear.
Some cowboy shit.
Simon Brothers and Johnny North. Full Gear post-show coming at you on Saturday night. We'll do the Dynamite post-show coming up on Wednesday night. And Friday night, of course, Johnny and I will be back while Rampage is going on after SmackDown. We'll talk about Rampage. We'll recap SmackDown, and we'll give you the Full Gear preview coming up on Wrestling Uncensored on Friday night here, 10 p.m. Eastern on the Ringside Report Network. AJ, Freddie, and I will be back on Thursday night. We'll be previewing the Max Holloway, Yair Rodriguez fight coming up this weekend. Same night as Full Gear, we've got Holloway versus Rodriguez. So that'll be Thursday night here, 8 p.m. Eastern on the network. Get our picks here coming Saturday for the UFC Fight Night, coming off a big weekend for Team Dave. The Team Dave parlay coming through once again. We had Gaethje, Namajunas, and Usman in the parlay, and they all came out victorious. So hopefully you made some money with Team Dave and my picks last week for the UFC, and we'll give you more winning picks on Thursday night at 8 p.m. And again, I'll be back on Wednesday. Thanks, everybody, for watching, and I will see you after Dynamite.